Zoo-wee mama, how's it going everybody? I'm here today to talk about the last new card of the February season coming to Marvel Snap. We have Proxima Midnight. So I'm going to go over her ability, the details, the good, the bad, the ugly, 3 decks that you can try out right after she is released on February 27th. And then I'll give my final review on if I think she is worth chasing after with tokens or spotlight caches, or if you might want to skip her and she's a bit of a bust. So to start out, Proxima Midnight, Corvus Glaive's wife. She's a 4-cost, 7-powered card. The ability that when this is discarded, she jumps to your lowest powered location that isn't full. Okay, so she's got a bit of RNG in there. If you have multiple locations at the same lowest power, it's going to be random. But if you only have one that's at the lowest, you're going to know where she's going to go to. You just have to discard her. Because if you don't discard her, she's just a 4/7. Now, she's going straight into Series 5. She will be a full 6,000 tokens, like every other card that came out this month. And she's going to be in Spotlights with MODOK and Dawkins. So very discard heavy spotlight package. If you haven't played much discard and you're missing these cards, that could be good for you. But MODOK and Dawkins are both Series 4, so in terms of like resource value, it's a pretty low value spotlight week. And if you're not interested in discard, then the spotlights probably aren't very interesting unless you really like the variants. I think they're okay, but not amazing. So let's go into the good, the bad, the ugly of Proxima Midnight. So there's actually a lot of good to talk about. First up is that Proxima is now the 6th good target for random discard in the game. Okay, so these are cards that you are happy to discard. If you have cards that randomly discard stuff like Corvus Glaive or Hellcow, you actually want them to hit these cards in your hand because good things happen when they get discarded and you don't need to bring them back with Hela or anything. So we've got X23 will go to the board, gives you plus energy. Wolverine goes to the board, gives you power. Swarm just makes duplicates in hand. Apocalypse powers up and goes back to your hand. And then Helicarrier will fill your hand when discarded. So Proxima is actually the biggest power on the board, immediate power for discard. Okay, because if you discard it from hand, it's just 7 power on the board and it's to your weakest location. So she does have great stats if she's discarded. Again, she's going to add way more than Wolverine, X23, and the other discard cards will add in terms of raw power. And you usually do know which location she goes to, as I mentioned, which is a big plus because X23 and Wolverine are random. Okay, they're just going to land on one of 3 if all the locations are open. And she does synergize with Corvus Glaive, of course, who did come out last week. So if you got Corvus and you're happy with him, or maybe you thought he was kind of meh, you're just going to get more use out of him now. Okay, you've just got more decks to make, so Proxima now is giving more value to the people who did get Corvus this past week. In terms of the bad aspects for Proxima, first up is that she only fits into discard. Again, if you're not discarding her, she's just a 4/7 with no ability. You basically have to discard her to get value. Corvus was a bit more flexible because you can just put him in ramp decks. You can focus on his energy boost more than his discard. But with Proxima, she's stuck there. And she's actually very hard to hit with targeted discard. If you look at cards that have targeted discard, and by that I mean you can know what it's going to discard before you play it. You're looking at Lady Sif. She discards your highest cost cards. Proxima costs 4, you probably have 5 and 6 cost cards in your hand. It's hard to hit Proxima with Lady Sif. Colleen Wing targets the lowest cost cards. Silver Samurai targets lowest power. Proxima's probably not going to get hit by that either. Okay, you can hit her with Blade if you did just draw her and you have Blade in hand, but again, that's an if statement. The only way that you can guarantee you will discard Proxima is if you just hit her with MODOK because he discards everything, or if she was like your last card in hand. Okay, other than that, it's actually very hard to target her. So the random discard 2 like Corvus and Hellcow may actually be the best way to get value out of her. And she will often give you priority if you discard her because of her big power, and she's going to add power to your lowest powered lane, so she's going to help you win the board. And this could actually be bad potentially if you were planning to play something like Hela or some other big powered card on turn 6. Your opponent can now hit you with Shang-Chi. Okay, it's good if you're worried about Goliath, bad if you're worried about Shang-Chi, so it kind of goes both ways. And then just remember that she does not synergize directly with Hela or Ghost Rider. When Proxima gets discarded, she's not gone from the game, she just goes down to the board. Okay, she leaves your hand, but she's still in the game. So discarding Proxima and then playing Ghost Rider will never bring back like a second Proxima, okay, because she didn't disappear and you're not going to make a copy of her. Same thing with Hela, so those cards are better, you know, bring back cards that you actually discarded. And before we get into the 3 decks that you can try out, nice reminder to like this video and subscribe if you have not already, because I make these videos for every single new card that comes to Marvel Snap, and I also do a season preview for all of the new season cards getting announced, like the video I will be launching the day after this one goes live for the March season, which will be very exciting. So let's get into those decks. So first up is this full RNG discard list, and I actually had this in last week's video for Corvus Glaive, even though Proxima wasn't in the game yet. And the main point here is that we have 6 good targets. Okay, I mentioned Proxima's the 6th. We've got the other 5 in this deck. We have X-23, Wolverine, Swarm, Proxima, Apocalypse, and Helicarrier. We are happy to discard these cards. That's 6 out of 12. That's half of our deck. We are happy to discard. So even though Gambit, Corvus, and Hellcow are discarding randomly, we don't care because they're going to hit good stuff over half the time, right? And obviously if they do hit Swarm in your hand, then you just get more Swarms. If you hit Helicarrier, you get a bunch of random cards you weren't going to play anyways, so you're happy to see those get discarded. So this deck is just kind of like a new shell or package. Traditionally, random discard isn't very good, and it can just be too random, right? It's not consistent, you can't get good wins. But if you have all of these cards that are good to get discarded, then this random discard is more consistent. And these cards are overstated. I mean, Corvus giving you plus energy, 5 power, Proxima being 7 power, potentially for free, and Hellcow being 8 power. These cards are overstated if you can make their abilities good. If you can mitigate the downsides, it's just a good raw power deck. So I'm very excited for this one and this new kind of shell or archetype we have because of Proxima Midnight. Next up, we have Proxima in a collector discard list. This is similar to the list I had with Corvus. I've taken out, I think I maybe had Magic Mike in here, and I put in Proxima. And this is just really good. Again, we have a lot of random discard. We don't have the X-23 and Wolverine in here, but we do have the collector who is going to power up as we discard stuff. And we also have Dawkin, who adds something to our hand. He's kind of like a 7th good discard, because you do want to discard the blade he adds to your hand. And this deck is just good raw power. Again, we're going to power up Morbius. We're going to power up the collector just through discarding things. Apocalypse is going to get really big. If we want to just slam him down on turn 6, we can. Discarding Helicarrier gets more options. And whenever we hit Proxima Midnight, it's a free 7 power, and that sounds pretty dang good. And this last deck is a full collector wombo combo discard deck. Okay, so it's only 3 cards different from my previous one, but one of those cards is Wong, and another one of those cards is Gambit. So this one we are really going all in on the mega discard, power up our Morbius and collector through the roof. We are hoping to at some point discard Swarm, because that's just going to give so many targets to power up our collector and Morbius. And in addition to that, we even have Gambit on top of Wong. Now, Gambit will pretty much always have targets in your hand to discard, even though this deck doesn't run Apocalypse, because Helicarrier is just going to fill your hand. And again, if we did hit Swarm, that's just basically unlimited cards to discard. So this one's a bit more wombo combo heavy, but if those are the decks you like to play, if you like to go all in and see crazy stuff happen, do some Gambit or Wong shenanigans, then this is going to be a fun one. Now it's time for me to give my final ratings and predictions for Proxima Midnight. Here also is her Spotlight variant that will be in the caches with her starting February 27th. In terms of being fun, I don't think she's fun. Okay, I'm giving her 1 star. I do not think Proxima is a fun card. And that's because you literally do not want to play her. Okay, you can put her in your deck, But when you draw her, you do not want to play her. You want to discard her and she plays herself. But how many cards are like that? How many cards do you draw and you specifically try not to play? I mean, we mainly see that in discard decks, right? Where you maybe have Apocalypse in hand and you just try to discard him, power him up, and hope Dracula, discards him to power up at the end of the game. But there's just not that many cards you actually don't want to play, like physically from your hand to the board. Proxima's one of them. I don't think it's fun. It's gonna be nice. I mean, when she gets discarded, 7 power is gonna feel good. Okay, you could discard her on turn 1 with Blade. You could play Blade turn 1 and drop 10 power between Blade and Proxima. Turn 1, 10 power on the board. That's gonna feel nice, but that's really Blade doing the work, and I just don't think Proxima's a fun card. And the decks she's in, very limited, but if you find them fun, they don't necessarily need Proxima. They're kind of fun because of the other cards, and Proxima is just another helping hand. Now, in terms of being flexible, bad, okay? Also, just horrible flexibility. I mean, you saw the second and third deck I showed. There were 3 cards apart, right? One was the Collector discard, the other one was Collector discard, but more of a full wombo combo. And there's just not much you can do with her. At least Corvus Glaive, you could put in a ramp list. You could do ramp discard hybrid by, having standard ramp, but throw in maybe Hela and Helicarrier. Or you could do a full discard, or like the discard Collector. I mean, there's a bit of options, okay? He had okay flexibility. Proxima is worse. You're only playing her in discard. I don't even think you can put her in just like a Corvus ramp list. Even though Corvus can discard her, if he doesn't, then she's useless. Okay, you really need at least 2 ways to discard her every game, I think. I don't think you can rely on one card unless that card is MODOK, because he gets rid of your entire hand, and she does come out in spotlights with MODOK, so that's a bit telling. But yeah, flexibility's not there. In terms of being competitive, for discard decks specifically, again, we're not talking about any other decks because she doesn't fit anywhere else. For discard, I think she's good. Okay, now she is hard to target, as I mentioned, so you're not going to be playing her in decks that really just rely on Blade or Lady Sif to discard stuff, and you may not even play her in Hela decks, okay, because again, Hela will never bring her back. Hela will not make a second Proxima if she went to your board after being discarded. But if you are doing just random discard or MODOK discard, I think she's good. And, that could depend on the meta a bit, right? If Hela is the only discard deck in meta, then Proxima might feel more like a 2-star competitive card. But if you've got a bit more variety discard, then I could see Proxima seeing a good amount of play and being 3-star. I don't think she's going to be amazing because that kind of anti-synergy with Hela and Ghost Rider. But I don't think she's going to be horrible. So for my final thoughts on whether you should buy Proxima Midnight or if she's a bit of a bust, sadly, I think she's a bit of a bust. Okay, and this may seem weird because I'm saying competitively she's good. She is so niche, okay? If you do play a lot of discard, if you love discard, or you're excited to get more into discard, then she might be worth it. Okay, maybe try her out if you like discard. If you're not a discard player at all, or you're just not very excited about discard, you just play every now and then, I don't think she's worth going after. And that's for a couple reasons. Again, I think she will be good in some packages. I think she will be competitive. I think she will see some play. But she is 6,000 tokens. And she's definitely not worth that in terms of tokens. That's a lot of tokens. If you're going to get her, you're going to want to get her with Spotlight Caches. But this Spotlight Cache is her alongside 2 Series 4 cards. And again, that's just not great. And Dawkin has never seen too much play. He's actually been one of the weaker Season Pass cards we have seen, like ever. Not the worst, but weaker for sure. The other ones have gone buffed that were weaker. MODOK, he's good, but he doesn't fit into every discard deck, and right now the Hela discards just aren't running him mainly. So in the current meta, I'm not sure Proxima just slides right in. At least she doesn't with MODOK and Dawkin. But we might have a balance patch coming up soon. I think February 29th is when the next balance patch is supposed to happen. That's right, we have a leap year this year, so February 29th is the balance patch. And that could change hella, or that could change something else about the meta. But I really don't think Proxima is worth chasing after unless you're really on to discard. And again, the spotlights, the cache that week is all discard. So if you're not into discard, you have no reason to open caches. Literally none, okay? If you're not into discard, you're not going to pick up any of these cards. I mean, Dawkin, his blade does work with destroy, because you can destroy the blade to double up Dawkin, but usually it's discarded, and then MODOK is completely discard as well. So very, very niche cache, very low value week, because it's the 2 Season 4 cards alongside Proxima, and I would only get her if you like playing discard, or if you really enjoyed Corvus and you want to play both of them together. Have a nice little husband-wife card duo thing going on. So that is my takes for Proxima. I will probably get her because I did just finally complete my collection, and I'm trying to keep up, but I'm not really excited for her, and she's not really very fun. I don't think she's kind of boring. So those are my takes. Let me know what you think about Proxima, what combos and decks you're excited to try her with. Go ahead in the comments down below. Let me know if you think I'm missing something, or if you think she's just really good. And until then, stay positive. I'll see you next time.